Welcome to a Real Man Wood podcast. This is Chris Liss, your host, with my co-host Dalton Del Don of Yahoo Sports. And it's been a couple weeks, dude. We have taken a break. I was on vacation last week, and then the Super Bowl ended. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much. Lost a bunch of money on the Super Bowl, an apropos ending to my NFL season. I'm sure you've talked a lot about. Obviously, we're a couple weeks away, so there's nothing really to brush up about that. But at least it was a good game, right? I mean, is that the main takeaway?
It was a good game. It was a good game, and Foles stepped up and handled the pressure and played well yet again, and I didn't think he was going to. So, I mean, I was wrong. I bet the Pats, lost some cash myself, and whatever. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Favorites went 1-10 in the playoffs, and I don't know if this is true, so don't quote me on it. But I read somewhere Bill Belichick, if he's a part of the coaching staff,
right?
He's 1-15 when facing a team for the first time in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't.
Does that mean anything at all, or probably not? Right?
He's a bad coach, is what it means. He's not.
So if he's facing a team that season for the first time in the playoffs, supposedly he's 1-15. I don't know how true that is, or that probably doesn't mean anything. But I thought that was curious. In a way, it makes him just like the most brilliant a guy who changes pass midway ever. Apparently, he can counter, but I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Philly converted a fourth down on the final drive, and if they don't go for that or don't convert that, Patriots win the Super Bowl. So
I know.
It was
right.
that was pretty close. But let's move on.
The two Bills definitely watch. I'm not. Okay. I heard that 30 for 30s are really good, but I never really watched a lot of them. Right. But that one I'd check out for sure.
Yeah, I never watched that shit. I never watched those 30 for 30s. It just
And you know what else is really good? Liss was the Shaq and Kobe thing. That's like the only thing I would recommend from the whole All-Star. I know you're not a big hoops guy, but the All-Star weekend. The game was actually better than usual, but the Shaq and Kobe one-on-one, did you catch that?
I didn't see it. No, what was that?
It was just really good. They sat down one-on-one for an hour, with commercial breaks, and they just talked. And it was really kind of similar to the two Bills. It's clear they had not talked, away from the camera in years, and they're put down next to each other. And very uncomfortable, and they can't fake it, and really interesting. It really is worth watching.
Okay. Were they friendly, or was there some beef still?
Shaq and Kobe hated each other. They talk about the break. Like Kobe was ready to go to the Bulls if Shaq wasn't traded then, and there's really interesting revelations that both of them kind of learn themselves. Because they both have egos and all that, and they probably never heard the other side of the story.
Right. Everyone kisses their ass too, so they don't hear the truth a lot probably from people.
And speaking of which, they even bring up the Shaq rap, "Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes." They even bring that up. So it's pretty. I'm telling you, watch that if you see that on replay. DVR that.
Yeah. All right. I knew you were a big fan of that rap, but I didn't realize I didn't know the lyrics as well as you did. Okay. I create my own raps, but I'm not ready yet. I haven't had enough drinks yet to start busting them on the video cast.
You do strike me as the type that would probably write your own raps in high school.
Not in high. Well, actually, we did do raps in high school. I was actually playing guitar. My friend was rapping, but this is Beastie Boys were our age pretty much, so we were just imitating that shit.
Right.
It's quality though, but it's not suitable for a family audience like this podcast.
Right.
I'm telling you, some of the titles. Although my friend who's a serious musician now, he tours with major acts. He was playing with Greg Allman before Greg Allman died. And he plays with the Blind Boys of Alabama. He was saying it was a while ago. He's like, we need to re-release some of that. We need to re-release some of that rap material. It's funny.
Would you still be employed?
What's that? If I no, well, no, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
And you've gotten away with some stuff too, so that must be
no, it's bad. It's totally wrong, especially in this day and age. It was not. It was just imitating a lot of very bad influences that we had, and. But it was, it wasn't that bad, all things considered. All right, well, I think we need to move on to baseball because I'm deep into baseball prep. I've already done one important draft, the NFBC beat Chris Liss first league. I hate sharing this stuff and talking to you about it because you are a nutless monkey. You and Jeff Erickson's you're in a lot of my leagues, and I know you guys don't think for yourself. So I start telling you who I like, and then I just know you're going to take those players because you don't really have an independent opinion or thought, and so. You may as well just fuck me over, and plus, maybe I'm right about some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hear you. Super Bowl's come and gone. Basketball a little time. I'm full on baseball mode. Yahoo launched recently. Tinkering with my rankings. I got Labor soon. It's a week from Sunday. So So yeah, I wanted to give you the platform here. Actually, I'm sure you've talked about it a bunch on XM, but the recent columns you've been doing, that looks like a lot of work. Like, what are you doing, Liss? Like, what? I don't understand that.
it is a lot of work.
Like, that seems like time consuming and an actual, like, you're burning calories. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Jeff said that too. You know what it is? Because everyone's so fucking lazy. They're like, I like this guy. His swinging strike rate was X, Y, and Z. You know, his BABIP was that. You know, they just fucking look up a couple stats and just post. It's easy, right? You just write some shit. But this is actually a lot of work because you got to get the data out. And what I basically did was I went through my last year NFBC team, the 12 team. I'm going to do it for the 15. I don't think I can do it for both 12 teams. It's too much work. But there's a page in the NFBC where it just shows your league and every single team and all the stats that those teams have accumulated. So it's not, you know, you have all the players that are on your team, but it's not just showing like what Paul Goldschmidt, basically whoever had him just had him every week. But like, it doesn't just show what like, you know, Rhys Hoskins did for the year. It shows what he did on that team after he was picked up, which is probably most of what he did for a year. But let's say, you know, he played a few games. It just shows the stats that team accumulated. And so by taking all those stats and putting them in a spreadsheet and then matching it up with the draft results, I could see which players were original starters in the first 23 rounds, reserves 24 through 30. And I shuffled it up a little bit, like if a guy took 7 outfielders or something like that, you know, I put before he took all his pitchers or catchers or whatever, I figured out who was a starter. And then guys who they added later who weren't at all on their original draft sheet, but showed up in the stats on their team. So I gave an S next to all the guys that were original starters, an R next to all the guys who were original reserves, and a U next to all the guys who were undrafted on any given team. Now, somebody might be drafted by one team, dropped, and picked up by another. But either way, that guy got a U if he showed up on the other team because he was a waiver wire pickup. And the whole idea was to figure out all the stats of the undrafteds and the replacements in actual lineups. Because when you add them together, that really is replacement value. I mean, it's literally what people replace their starters with the entire year. And
what were some surprising results?
Right. And so, well, this is the 12 team, remember. But the point of it is, okay, so what's replacement value? Because replacement value is kind of the basis for value. We do this in football all the time. We're like, okay, if there's receivers on the waiver wire that get you like 4 touchdowns and 700 yards or 600 yards, then a guy who gets 700 yards and 4 touchdowns isn't really worth much. You can't value him from 0. You value him from above whatever the replacement guy gets you, right? I mean, that's everybody's value begins the second that he exceeds the value of the freely available player, right?
Right.
That's replacement. That's the concept of replacement value, and it's important. And so I've always been having trouble figuring out what is the real replacement value, because you can look at the stat line of player 169, given 12 teams, 14 players, 168 hitters. Okay, the 169th hitter, that must be replacement value. But that's not right. The 169th guy is just one guy. That's just a stat line. What your actual replacement value is the sum total of all the moves you make during the year. Because you get a guy, he's good for a month and he sucks, you drop him, you get someone else who just got called up. You're constantly cycling through. So when you're looking at replacement value, it's probably quite a bit higher than what we normally think of it as. It's the aggregate of all these moves that you've made. So I basically did all this work to figure out, at least in that particular league, which I think is pretty representative because every league picks up all the best players. Every serious league, which is all the NFBC, all the Aaron Judges, Justin Smokes, Logan Morrisons, they're all picked up, every single one. So there may be some small variation between leagues, but pretty much the picked up guys are the picked up guys and the starters are the starters.
Not just are they all obviously all picked up, but aggressively right away.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. I'm sure that you go league to league, there'll be some minor variations, but pretty much the replacement's the replacement. And then to say, okay, this is the replacement. And the result were surprising. I mean, like in first base, like they actually hit more home runs, the replacements hit more home runs than the originals. And you think like, how's that possible? Well, it's possible because like Brandon Belt, Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, this guy's got a lot of at-bats that were drafted that weren't very good. But if you were to stay in somebody's lineup all year as a replacement at first base, you're going to have to really hit, right? Otherwise, you're going to get dropped, and you're going to get dropped as soon as you lose any at-bats. Rhys Hoskins gets picked up. He gets 20 homers in like 2 months. Bellinger. Actually, he didn't count. I think he counted as an outfielder for the purposes of that. But there were so many guys that hit tons of home runs. I listed them in the article. And you could see why the guys that actually Matt Adams was a monster for like 2 months when he was picked up, when Freddie Freeman was hurt. So it was a little surprising. The other surprising thing is the pitchers. Like you think, oh, we got a stream to have a really good team.
Yeah, Justin Smoke hit like 40, right?
He hit 38 home runs. Logan Morrison hit 39 home runs. I mean, these are guys just picked up off of waivers. But guys like, Matt Adams and Rhys Hoskins were monsters when they were in there. So there were just so many.
Mark Reynolds.
Mark Reynolds, yeah. And Yonder Alonso was probably dropped when he stopped hitting, but he hit like 26 home runs in 3 months, like 3 months. All those guys were hitting. And so the other takeaway was the pitching. The starters had like a 3.84 ERA. The starting starters, I'm using starters in two senses. One is like your starting players, your starting 9, some of whom are relievers, and then starting pitchers. But your starting pitchers were 3.84 ERA or something like that aggregate, and their replacements were a 4.60. So you got killed if you were streaming. In this new offensive home run era, like picking up a guy with a couple of starts, it was a grave mistake.
That's your computer, by the way, making that very rude interruption.
Yeah, well, I can mute it. I could have actually like deleted my email, but I actually get emails still.
Yeah.
you don't get emails.
Anyway, so that is interesting and totally makes just fundamental sense. Like, yeah, you do not want to stream, mess around with those mediocre starters. They'll just destroy you more than ever these days. So what is the greatest takeaway from all this?
Well, I'm not done yet, but what I'm going to do now that I have the replacement value numbers worked out, at least under this system, and there are issues with it, we can get into those. I'm going to now plug those in and use the Steamer projections, and I'm going to re-rank everybody using the quote real replacement numbers, and then see how guys rank. And it may shift value around quite a bit when the baseline for home runs is 23, not like 15 or whatever I used when I used the sort of 169th player projection model that I was using.
Yeah, I want you to do that homework, and also the other assignment I gave you. What was the other one I told you to do?
You said compare who did better, Steamer versus NFBC ADP. I looked at it, actually, and I was going to write it, and it wasn't that interesting. It was like Steamer won some, NFBC probably won more, but some of the ones NFBC won is because Steamer kind of misprices a few guys based on the NFBC's contest, which is that you have an overall contest, no trading, so you need steals. Like, you can't neglect saves and steals. So those guys get priced up a little more. I fixed the saves. I figured out how to do saves. You do 7 starters, 2 relievers. Pretend like that's required, even though it's not. And that's how you get the saves to count properly and compare relievers to relievers. But with the steals, since anybody can theoretically steal a base, it's very hard to isolate those as required. It's like you could do like, well, I need an outfield steal guy with 30 and an infield steal guy, and those guys are super scarce. I mean, you could like do something like that, but it's kind of tricky. So the steals guys get undervalued by Steamer because if you're just doing a trade league, and especially like a one-off league that doesn't have an overall component, you could tank steals if you wanted. I mean, you don't need to overpay for anything.
Sure.
So Steamer just kind of takes it at, when I convert the Steamer projections into dollar values, there's no sense of necessity. Oh, you have to get this category. It's just sort of like, what's everything worth? If you don't get any steals, okay, then you don't get anything for steals, but you might have a ton of value with the other things. So it doesn't artificially bump up the steals guys. And so there's a couple things like that were anomalies. Really, I can show you the link, but it really wasn't that interesting, actually, like who did better. It wasn't that enlightening, like, oh, shit, here's where Steamer's really good. It was just kind of random.
That's not super surprising, I guess, if the answer is some, win some, lose some. I guess that's the most obvious answer.
And some of the ones that the NFBC won, and I would say the NFBC did better, were just like, yeah, obviously that guy had to be drafted.
Right. There was one other actually interesting study that I could throw at you. We discussed it a little bit. I came up with it while talking to Jeff on SiriusXM. It was a very enjoyable segment this week because you were on vacation, so you weren't there. But I was curious if someone could look at the data, if there's any sort of when you draft these big events like Draft Champions or say even your RotoWire ones with the big payout, when the winner drafted, if it's closer to the season or typically earlier, because there's obviously some advantages to one. There's more information the closer to the year, but also say you do it like last month, ADP's less tight. Maybe you're on it more than even the Sharks. Man, maybe you've been paying attention, during football season. So I'm curious. The answer probably will be the same. Right. Some are late, some are early, but interesting.
I would be pretty sure that like over like 100 years of doing it, that because any one year anybody can win. It's just there's a lot of luck involved. Sure. But over like 100 years of doing it, that drafting in February would be the advantage. January, February, early as possible, because you can get so much value that's just not available later. So while you might get unlucky and guys get hurt, if you don't get unlucky and you get the value, you're going to have a team that nobody can build in March when the values are known. You can have more inequality early.
Right. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. So that's what I thought. But
yeah.
So I was curious if there was any data on that. The earlier you draft, the more advantageous it is.
There's questions of what draft slot's the best. I think it varies on year, right? I mean, like there's certain years where so-and-so is going third usually. That's who you get.
Yeah.
And that guy goes crazy. Okay, great. That's the place to be. And then some years it's just the top guy's the top guy. I don't think that's that big a deal. I do think there's a little bit of an advantage to drafting on the ends, like first, second, 14, 15, or 11, 12, because I think it is a little better to get 2 picks in close proximity and then deal with the runs rather than every pick you don't really know until another 12 picks whether what it's going to look like.
Yeah, and you can really be helpful if you're on the second to last pick. If that other team, it helps even more so, like say if you're in playoff leagues, so you're locked in a position, say football. Yep. Same could be like 2 catchers in baseball, though, if you're picking second and then you get to the wheel. It does help. I mean, that's an advantage that only you have on the board, or say the pick number 14.
Yeah, 2 picks away can kind of figure it out. 3 picks away can kind of figure it out. But sometimes you play that game and lose, right? Like the guy does something surprising. Like he's got 2 middle infielders and he takes the third to fill up because he just likes the guy. But yeah, it's a slight advantage, I would say. I don't know if you took a look at the Beat Chris Liss 1 roster. I want to talk about that.
I was going to ask you about that next. Yeah. So talk about that.
So this is one of my favorite drafts I've ever done. And I know I talk shit like my draft is amazing every time, but I don't always believe that shit. Sometimes I'm like in the middle of the draft getting really pissed, like everything, I don't know what I'm doing. Players I like go and I do a nutless monkey pick like last year when I took Jackie Bradley in the 9th round. I should have taken Eric Thames, but Thames didn't even have a good year, really. I mean, he had an okay year, but it was just one of those picks where I kind of froze and tried to do something safe. But this year,
if you would have taken Thames, you would have dealt him at the end of April.
I would have, yes. I would have dealt him for a first-round pick to you. You and I were like, is he a first-round pick or is he the first overall pick? That was the debate. This fell great. Like I picked 7th, and I was hoping to get 5th or 4th so I could get Kershaw, and I got Kershaw at 7th. And I was lucky because Goldschmidt went 6th, and I don't want Goldschmidt with the humidor. I have no interest in him in the first round, really.
You're going to laugh at this. Not to spoiler alert your second-round pick, but I just recently moved Freddie Freeman ahead of Goldschmidt on my first page.
So did I. As soon as I saw that Derek Carty thread, did you read that Derek Carty thread?
Oh, a big influence on me, yeah.
Yeah, I was just okay, this is about as scientific as it gets. We don't know for sure, but this is laid out pretty clearly.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to downgrade these guys. I'm going to upgrade the pitchers a little bit. So I got Kershaw, and then in round 2, I was hoping to get Machado because I just age that he is, the park that he is. He'll have shortstop and third base. I just think he's a monster. He'll run a little bit. And he went 1 pick before me. So I was a little stuck in round 2. It was either Syndergaard, who I really liked, but I was like, I got Kershaw. I'll probably get Carrasco or Verlander or Severino or somebody like that in round 3. So I'll take a bat in round 2. And then it was Freeman or Donaldson. And I was like, I guess I'll take Freeman in that park. He was killing it before he got hurt. And he's younger than Donaldson. So I took Freeman in round 2. What do you think about Freeman over Syndergaard, over Jose Ramirez, over Gary Sanchez, Lindor? What do you think about that?
I love Freeman. He was just such a monster last year. And who knows how much injury affected his production even when he came back. So don't just look at the missed games. I mean, if he's healthy now with that different, obviously the way that Park plays, as you said, like I said, I moved him ahead of Goldschmidt. So he's fine there. Syndergaard would be the question for me. Obviously, I'm a starting pitcher guy. He could just be out for the season tomorrow, or he could just be a total monster and just more valuable than any hitter. So it's very much risk reward there. But the one that interests me is Judge. You didn't even mention him when you said you took Freeman over Judge. I mean, coming off the year, the hype, I feel like he's the guy he probably has the highest ADP among all those that you mentioned.
You're right. Am I wrong? I guess I don't know. I guess I don't think his batting average is legit. I think he could hit 45, 50
Aaron
homers.
Judge scored last year?
What's that?
Do you know how many runs Aaron Judge scored last year?
112.
See, this is what's crazy. Right. Hold on, I want to be sure.
It's 120
Aaron
something.
Judge scored 128 runs.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, when you hit 52, when you score yourself on 52 of them, right, it's pretty easy. And then they're going to have Stanton hitting with him, so he's going to score a ton of runs. It's just a great place to hit. It totally would have been fine. I might have even – I don't know why I didn't really think of it. I have my cheat sheet, and I think Judge was the top outfielder. I was just going by position on my cheat sheet. I think Judge was the top outfielder left at the time. I'm positive he was, actually. But I was Freeman or Donaldson.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with Freeman.
I think part of it is because
you got Donaldson coming back, which is great. I want to ask you about Rizzo real quickly because he went right before you took Donaldson. He's going to be second base eligible in Yahoo. A lot of us didn't want to, but it's just the way it fell. And once it's there, we don't like to take away eligibility. People will go even more crazy that way. Where would you rank him? Like, where would you treat him in Yahoo Friends and Family? I mean, it's pretty obviously a drastic difference.
Well, I mean, there's not that much difference in overall value typically, like the last few years between corners and middles. Like, there's just so many good middles, and Yahoo probably has even more because they're so generous with
leniency,
eligibility.
Right.
And so, like, you know, they do different things. Like, middles steal bases, corners hit for power. I mean, it's good to have the flexibility. It means you can cover in a case of an injury. You can pick up, you can move him to second and pick up a first baseman, or move him to first and pick up a second baseman if that's the best available player and you need steals or something. It adds a little value in Yahoo, no doubt.
But you're not like bumping him up a bunch, like not making him in the first round or something.
I like Donaldson better than Rizzo, I think, straight up. I don't know. It's pretty close between the two. I think I take Donaldson over. Donaldson's just a better hitter. He's just,
But you wouldn't if Rizzo's second base eligible, would you?
I mean, if he's first and second, it would definitely be attractive because then he's covering a really scarce position. But in the NFBC, that's not happening. So
you took Donaldson before Severino and Carrasco. Did you consider pitchers?
I didn't consider. I almost took Donaldson where I took Freeman,
right.
And so the fact that he slipped to the third round, I had Kershaw already. I was like, I just snap called it. I didn't even think. I didn't even.
He could be a monster. He could. Yeah, he could go crazy.
He was like a first round pick last year, and he got hurt for 6 weeks, and then he basically hit like a first round pick. He's like 32, so there's some downside, but he's healthy now. So the real decision. So the first decision I had was round 2. I took Freeman over Syndergaard, and I didn't think much about Judge, but he could have been in Donaldson. And then round 4, I was like, okay, I'm going to take Donaldson, and one of those guys might come back, like Verlander or one of the guys I consider aces. And Verlander did come back, the last ace in my opinion. And now Greinke with the humidor, although Greinke was gone. I was mocking Greinke in the 4th round, the XM show a few weeks ago. But with the humidor now, I'm not really mocking it. But
you can't.
I mean, now it's like he's in a pitcher's park. So, or he might be in a very extreme pitcher's park. So
yeah.
It was Kimbrel or Verlander, and I had Kershaw. What would you have done in round 4?
I probably would have gone Verlander, but I get it. With that age, that pitcher, I mean, it's a risk. And getting one of those 2 elite closers, I mean, it's a close argument for me. I probably would have gone Verlander, but I certainly wouldn't fault you. I mean, it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
What was your ultimate decision on why you went that way?
My thinking was in the 12 team you can fab closers, but you can't fab like 2 or 3. You can fab 1.5, right? And so if I had one total rock, the only guy I can count on, I didn't want to spend a 7th rounder on like a quasi closer, on like a Felipe Rivera. I just feel like, to me, that's like you're paying an expensive pick for really an untested guy. To get a rock who's one of the 2 guys you can really count on. I think Chapman's actually in that same boat pretty much, but 3 guys you can really count on. To me, it was just
sometimes we overreact to just one season. Wasn't it like a year ago we were worried about Kimbrel? Didn't he like have bad control for a couple months? And obviously Chapman was ahead of him in every single draft board. And then suddenly it's like, if they're both healthy, like, yeah, sure, Chapman, slightly shaky, but still in his prime. Why are we so changing so much based on 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, I mean, Kimbrel had a knee injury and Chapman had some other issues, but he was throwing really well down the stretch last year. His arm was fine. He's still throwing 100+. I'm not worried about Chapman at all. Like, I like him too. And that might have been the plays to take Verlander. Chapman then went actually, I would have gone before Chapman went. So I could have taken Verlander and Chapman, but I just felt like Kimbrel will get me a lot of the ERA and whip that Verlander will. Like an AL, Verlander, like a 3.30 ERA and a 1.15 whip would be sort of projectable, 1.17 whip. I mean, Kimbrel's going to get like a 1.50 ERA and a 0.8 whip in 70 innings, and it's going to almost be as impactful as Verlander's 200 innings. So ERA and whip, I'm basically covered, and I get the saves. So I'm just missing the strikeouts and the wins, right? I mean, that's really what I'm giving up. And I'm like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wing the pitching with Kershaw, and Kimbrel's going to get me enough ratios to pass on Verlander. And then, of course, because I ended up just going all hitting. I went Buxton in round 5, Posey in round 6.
Of course you did.
Segura in round 7, Puig in round 8, Cano in round 9, Real Muto in 10, Baez in 11. I didn't take a pitcher till round 12, another pitcher in McCullers. Right.
Yeah, that is interesting to go a pitcher in your first pick and then not another starter until round 12. But yeah, no argument here. I love the Buxton Puig, such list picks. Posey there, I know the upside's just not there with the homers this stage of his career, but in a 2-catcher format, you got to like that, right? In the 6th?
Yeah, I mean, when you're building like a real stud offense and you're like, okay, I've got Kershaw, Kimbrel, I'm punting the rest, and I'm going to build a ton of offense, I kind of like getting 2 really good catchers. I mean, Posey and Real Muto.
Batting average from that position.
Huge. I mean, like, I'm suddenly dominating batting average. I got those 2. Freeman is good. Donaldson won't hurt. Segura is good. Cano is probably good. It's just a lot of batting average, and that's a category like you just don't want to mess around with. If you want to compete in the overall, you want to just have that like 280 batting average and not even think about it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I like those picks, and then I like how you went a stretch here in the middle with 6 straight all starters. Was it? Yeah. 6?
Well, no, I got Blake Parker as my second quasi closer.
Oh, okay, 6 straight pitchers though.
Yeah, 6 straight pitchers, and but after McCullers, I went back to 2 more hitters just for value. I get playing chicken. Gregory Polanco and Miguel Sano, I just thought both have huge upside.
No.
And then
I have no idea. Sano fell. I did a draft Champions League. He just kept falling and falling. I didn't need a corner infielder. I just took him in my utility. And I guess it has to be the legal troubles is what people worry about, right?
He may get suspended, but it could be like 2 weeks, right? I mean, it could be like 2 months, but it could be 2 weeks. But in round 14, I mean, this is a 12 team, dude. I mean, my round 14 pick may very well not pan out. I'll have to pick up somebody on deep waivers.
I mean, he was like raking last year too before he got hurt. Like he could be a total monster.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, so I had everything except pitching, which I was going to go by volume, and saves, which I'm going to go by volume after Kimbrel. But I had every other category, and I was like, I'm a little light in power for a 12 team in this environment. I mean, everybody hits a little bit. Like Buxton's a 15 homer guy, Posey's a 12 to 20 homer guy, Segura's a 10, 15 homer guy, Puig's 20, 25. Cano's at 20. Like they're all like, there's no 3s or 7s or 10s in there really. They're all got, Real Muto at 17 last year. Baez can hit 25, 30. They're all home run guys. But I really, Donaldson and Freeman aren't Stanton and Harper, right? I mean, they're good home run guys. They're not elite. So I felt I was maybe a little light. So Sano just gives me a 40 guy if he's healthy. Or if he misses a month with the suspension, he's still going to get me a prorated 40. And I'll get someone else in his place. And then I got Chris Davis in like round 21.
I was going to say that's such a list pick. Another one, Davis. It's embarrassing how early you had us pick him in a League of Leagues because I had to go back and look because we have keepers due. Right. And I'm actually going to save that to next week because it's week from Thursday. So we'll talk a little bit about that on next week's podcast. We'll go over a couple. One I'm excited about is I picked up Rhys Hoskins, so I added him. So
nice.
That's
the only good thing you did last year. I mean, it's embarrassing. What a bad
Jimmy G too, and Garoppolo. I stashed him.
Jimmy G.
So, but we'll go over a couple. But anyway, I'll tell you one guy we will not be keeping at his price is Chris Davis. You love this guy.
First of all, it's an on-base league, on-base percentage. Let's just say
that's true. That is true. But at that price, sure, great pick where you got it.
Yeah. So, but our whole draft is that.
This one.
Yeah, we invested so much in NBA in that League of Leagues, and our team is terrible in NBA. This is an embarrassing league. Like first 2-round picks in a League of Leagues that constitutes 3 sports was Kawhi Leonard and Boogie Cousins. Oh, and Cousins was crushing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cousins was like should have been like the number 1 pick in the entire thing.
Yes.
In the entire, it should have been 1.1, and then he tore his Achilles or whatever.
Yeah, and we played it safe by going the NBA route. That was us, and it's
the NBA,
Cousins.
honestly, like this year. I mean, baseball gets like this too. I just can't believe sports. It's just so frustrating, the injuries in sports. It's just really football was like that this year, and baseball some years, and basketball has just been horrible this year.
Yeah. No, we got other minor ones, but we also have Vucevic, who was like legit like top 30 player too. So Kawhi, Boogie, and Vucevic all going down. Right. It's been rough, but we'll talk more keepers next week. So move on to your draft. Who else did you get next?
Well,
you like Robles?
I got him in like the 21st round, 22nd round. Yeah, I mean, he's really fast. He plays good defense. Michael Taylor, who knows if he sticks? Guys get hurt all the time. Adam Eaton's coming back from an injury. So I think, they'll definitely keep him down at least 2 weeks just to get that extra year. But once that's up, if they need it, they'll use him, I think.
I'm making a point of just having more patience. I overrate that myself. 2 weeks just means so little in a long baseball season. I mean, just look at where Trey Turner went that year, last year. I mean, it's a joke. Even in like NL Labor, he went for like $4 or something.
2 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
Sorry, yeah, 2 years. Whatever it was like clear that, yes, he was going to miss. It wasn't going to be brought up right away. But still, like sometimes that gets priced far too into the cost.
Right. With guys who have crazy upside, right? I mean, there's no point in like, oh, I'm going to stash this prospect that can get called up who doesn't have a lot of speed and, he's got some decent pop. There's no point in that. But, Robles could steal like 40, but, he could be like Trey Turner kind of. And that's worth waiting for, in my opinion. I just like
it's always something you got to pay attention to when you're looking at like prospect lists. Most of the people writing those are not talking fantasy, and they factor in defense.
Right.
So you have to really pay attention to that.
Yeah, they'll be like, this shortstop, Ahmed Rosario, is like awesome prospect. It's like, dude, there's just no point. Like, what are you going to get from him?
Right.
So watch him have a huge year now that I'm totally mocking him.
He's going to blow up, yeah.
Right. But there was the same thing with, what was that guy? Who was the shortstop on the Braves last year? Dansby Swanson. Oh, we got to get Dansby Swanson. Like, why? Yeah. What is he going to do for you? The guys who don't have like exceptional power or speed or both, preferably, there's no point.
Right.
So I basically the pitchers I got were McCullers, who I actually don't have a huge McCullers feeling, but he's in that good park on a good team. And everybody's like, he's got the best stuff in baseball. Like, okay, let's see it.
It's still underrated in a World Series game. Season on the line, he threw 28 straight curveballs. I mean, that's just underrated. I'm sorry.
Underrated?
Literally.
In what sense?
Who does that? Have you ever seen that before? I've never seen that.
No, but
I mean, stage, let alone.
Does that mean that he's good, or does that mean that it's just weird?
It worked. I mean, it must be one of the best pitches in baseball. If they know it's coming and they can't hit it, and it's a loaded lineup.
Yeah, but that's like he'll tear his arm off if he just throw curveballs.
He might. And who knows about lefties, but we'll see. But Houston's playing like an extreme pitcher's park, over the past few years. So sure, I like him. I mean, he's the type of guy that top 5 upside.
Right, that's what I mean. So I just got him in round 12. But I love Taijuan Walker with the humidor. The guy's like a legit pedigreed prospect. He throws hard. He had a decent year last year. I mean, the thing is like, so let's say Arizona lowers some home runs. And you're like, okay, well, remove a bunch of home runs. He still like kind of didn't have a great whip and all this stuff. But I sometimes think these guys, once they realize, there's a cascade effect. So not only do they get more, they get out of the innings, getting a fly out instead of a home run and there's another guy coming up, but also they don't get shell shocked. They're like, wow, I can just trust my stuff, let it move over the plate, let the guy hit it. It's no big deal. I don't have to nibble because if the guy does hit it, it's not going to be out of the park. And then just get lots of confidence because they're like, oh, I can just throw my stuff out. They get more swings and misses. They're confident about that. When the dudes do hit it, it's no big deal. I think it can change everything. And he's just at that age where we sort of given up on him as being an elite guy because, he was a big prospect, but he's just been okay. And I think he has the arm to be an elite guy. So it's just one of those guys that I think could be elite by midseason. If Taijuan Walker were like a 2.75 ERA and, more than a strikeout an inning, everyone would be like, oh yeah, it's Taijuan Walker. Like that was a major prospect that just finally made good. I could see it easily happening.
Yeah, he'll probably will deal this year because I was all over him last year, owned him everywhere. We'll see if he can stay healthy. The stuff is nasty, and as I said earlier, I'm buying into the fact that this humidor could just be drastic. And the other little under the radar thing is Tomas, terrible defensively. I guess he's now going to be a 4th outfielder, but like Gerard Dyson, like really good defensively. Like if he logs, a ton of innings out there, that could really help as well. I guess Alex Avila might be their new starting catcher, and I think he's really bad pitch framer. Yeah. But with that part going from one of the most extreme to hitters to one of the most possibly, certainly neutral with the possibility of being like extreme pitchers, throw Dyson out there, the setup is certainly there for this whole staff to really be underrated in fantasy leagues.
Yeah, I don't know if Souza's a good outfielder. They just traded for him.
Yeah, I looked it up. At the trade and whatever. His metrics on Fangraphs were like a little below average.
Okay. And they got rid of, what's his name? Who's the second baseman that they just got rid of?
Oh, Drury.
Drury, who's a bad fielder too. Like it seems like they're just going all in. They're like, okay, we have
JD Martinez, right? JD Martinez.
They let him go. They, Tomas, I think is going to be marginalized. They get rid of Drury, who's not a good fielder. They add good fielders or, guys that are certainly better than Tomas. Because Souza kind of is like, well, why do you need Tomas now? You have the same kind of bat. And, he's like slightly below average instead of, one of the worst outfielders in the league.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's an interesting team, man. That division's pretty loaded. I'm looking right now. I guess Ketel Marte is pretty good defensively too, I guess. So. So, no, that's the setup, man. I mean, I'm not even a Greinke guy, but I had to move him up. That whole staff could do. People are going to be all over Robbie Ray because they were on him anyway.
Right. He walks too many guys, though, man. I don't
Walker.
like the walks there. Maybe he doesn't nibble and he attacks more with the humidor, but I'm not on Robbie Ray where he's going in the 4th or 5th round. To me, that's like he doesn't belong there. He's not an elite starter. He's not an ace.
Yeah, he went super high in this league you were in.
Yeah, no, that's normal. I think that's normal for him. So a couple other guys. I got Dinelson Lamet. I actually think that was a mistake, that pick. I don't think you should be drafting a lot of Padres and Rays and stuff. Teams with bad offenses and don't win a lot. It's just like your pitcher, Lamet's probably not going to be a plus whip ERA guy, so he gets the strikeouts. But if you don't get the wins to go along with it, he's a one-category strikeout guy. So that was a mistake. I don't know. I was like, oh, San Diego, good place, good strikeout guy. But the more I've looked into it, I don't love him. I love Waka that I got the next round. Waka's throwing 95. He's another pedigreed guy. He's in St. Louis. And they just hired Mike Maddox to be the pitching coach. And Jeff was talking about this on the XM show today. But apparently Maddox is trying to get these guys to pitch high in the zone because you have all these uppercut, J.D. Martinez, Justin Turner, Daniel Murphy, all the whole revolution of the swing, Josh Donaldson. Well, those guys kill ground ballers because you keep the ball down, and these guys, it's in their wheelhouse, and they start the uppercut swing on that low pitch, and they knock it out of the park. And there's been data showing that ground ballers get especially crushed, ground ball pitchers get crushed by fly ball hitters. Right. And, Verlander's really had a much better last couple of months. Paul Sporer was pointing that out, that when he worked up in the zone and stopped going in the wheelhouse, most pitchers are trained to work in the bottom of the zone because obviously you want ground balls. But that's not working with these new uppercut swings. So the next phase of adaptation may be pitching up in the zone. And if you have a coach who's aware of that, I think the Cardinals may, they're always good values for pitchers. They always produce a Lance Lynn or a Jaime Garcia a couple years ago or somebody. But I really like
all over Luke Weaver this year, partially because of that. I just trust that organization.
Right. I mean, Weaver's getting priced up pretty high, though.
Sure. Yes, I know. No, I know. Yeah.
So I would go with more of the underrated. And then I got Aaron Sanchez, who was an ace 2 years ago. It was just a finger injury. And then I got Sean Manaea, who they said he was on the wrong meds, like you, also on the wrong meds.
Yeah, I saw that about him. Yeah, no, you're right about that. And I think that's the next thing with DFS is people, they don't believe in the batter versus pitcher data, but they might be starting to factor in stuff like that. The type of pitcher, right. The fly ball hitter versus the ground ball pitcher. I think that's definitely going to be the new wave. People really starting to delve into that. Heading back a little about talking about the Padres guy you got. I'm really going to be interested in the Padres. I don't know if you follow this much, but I was I read Dave Cameron at Fangraphs. Do you know about this? How he was hired by the Padres?
I did hear that he got hired. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of his, he wrote a few months ago or a few weeks ago even just about how stay away from Eric Hosmer, and he compared him, his WRC plus to I forget it was Matt Adams or something, but he basically just said do not do what you're about to do. And it's pretty funny that he's hired, and then a week later they signed Hosmer to a big deal. So just curious because I don't know if people are underestimating this because they remember the SI cover of the Astros are going to win the World Series in 2017, and people are bringing that up. But do you know why that cover became is because they hired those guys from Baseball Prospectus and multiple, the Goldstein and with Colin Wires, I think, and a couple others.
Right.
I'm probably bad at that stuff, but lo and behold, 3, 4, 5 years later, they are winning the World Series. So it's pretty interesting, these guys getting hired away. And I don't know, maybe there's absolutely zero causation, but I don't know. Curious to see what happens.
The Astros blew it. The Astros, they blew a first round pick, the first overall pick on Mark Appel. They blew another one on that guy, I forget his name, who tore his ACL before he even got a career.
What's his name? Yes.
I can't remember his name. But Chris Bryant was taken after Mark Appel. I forget who was taken after that other scrub. They let J.D. Martinez go. They had him. They let a couple other guys go. I mean, they made so many mistakes, and yet still they won the World Series.
Yeah.
And, look, I don't know. I mean, it certainly helps to have good analytics people and good scouts.
Yeah, Brady Aiken,
right? You don't even know who he is. He's so bad. That was a first overall pick.
Overall pick, yeah.
And they had 2 in a row or something, and they were both totally got
nothing.
No,
Appel and Aiken were back-to-back.
Right, and they got nothing for them. Zero. No. So, to win the World Series a couple years later, despite that, is amazing.
Yeah, 13 and 14.
What if they took Chris Bryant and another stud, which they easily – the first overall pick pans out quite often. It's not like it's a long shot. So, they could have been really, really good. And, you need scouting, you need analytics, you need really good judgment from the front office that knows, how much to weigh what. And, but, Dave Cameron, smart guy, good writer, but they don't give a fuck what he thinks. Like, he's just some stats dork that they just hired, right? You think the front office is going to just say, oh, he doesn't like him? But then again, you're like, well, why are you hiring the guy if that's specifically what he said? And you're just going to do the opposite. But who knows? I think sometimes ownership gets involved and they're morons. They don't get it. They just want to make a splash. But
oh, no, of course, there's a ton of dynamics to go into it. I just find it interesting and something to follow. But yeah, sure. So how'd you round out this debacle?
So this work of art, otherwise known as a masterpiece that you're trying to say. I'll just throw out a couple other names, to fill out some outfields.
You should be arrogant enough to tweet that out. Check out this piece of art. You should do that.
Oh yeah, I do.
But no, you wouldn't be that.
No, you would. Only a real man would do that.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. Check my timeline. So I got Max Kepler and Jackie Bradley as two filling outfielders because I have Robles who's going to get sent down. I have 15 pitchers. I basically have Robles and 14 starting hitters and then 15 pitchers. I just went volume. A couple other guys. I got Sangwon Oh because I thought he was on the Rangers and he was going to close, and who knows now. Felix Hernandez. I truly think Felix Hernandez is done. But I thought
so late though. That's so late.
But I thought Greinke was done last year. Greinke was going in the 9th or 10th round last year, and I was like, I had the exact same feeling about him as I have about Felix. Felix's peripherals were actually good. He just got hit hard, and maybe he's done, but who knows? I got Eduardo Rodriguez. Eduardo Rodriguez is good. He may miss a week or two with the knee problem, but it's not his arm. Yeah. Guy's really good. I got this guy Hirano who could close in Arizona. You just kind of throw a dart. And the other guys
grabbed champions.
Yeah, the other guys aren't really worth talking about. Brandon Woodruff and Andrew Haney. But
by the way, the same round you grabbed King Felix, Albert Pujols' carcass went. So whatever.
Yeah. Pujols has zero upside. Zero. None.
Negative upside.
Yeah, exactly.
So Nathan Eovaldi went in that same round. Right. So I actually like Felix. There's why I'm saying it. I'm with you because it looks like he's probably done, but why not at that point?
Right. And if he's not done, then it's, he becomes like a number 2 starter.
So we're going to go nuts for Puig again? What are we making of the whole agency firing him? Just who the hell knows? And what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, first of all, fuck his agency. You know what I mean? I'm with Puig. Okay. I don't care what he did. I don't care if he dropped his pants and took a dump on the conference room table. I don't care. I'm with Puig. I love the dude. He's just a really good player. And I think Puig has a 30-homer, 15-steal, 290, 300 season in him. He's 27. He's starting to put it together. He's gotten together apparently off the field. We don't know we still don't know what he did.
Or maybe not, but yeah. Right, but his approach looks so different at the plate, too. He had 8th a lot last year, too, if you're looking at his counting stats. Don't forget that.
Right. So they moved him down for God knows what reason. He's a really good defender, and that's going to keep him in the lineup, too. And I just think, these guys, they come, especially the dude came from Cuba from nothing. He's partying in L.A. with these attractive women. What do you expect? How could you restrain yourself if you just got in there and all of a sudden this huge bounty of wealth and anything you want is suddenly in front of you?
Right. G. McCaffrey, I highly recommend Wise Guy Baseball. Everyone should purchase that. One of the better writers in our industry. Awesome. And he, in his latest manual, he said something like, if I came from Cuba, I think he was comparing it to Puig, but the concept remains the same, that if you gave me the opportunity, coming from there and you gave me the opportunity to him, not only would I not still be on a baseball team, he'd be in prison.
Right,
if you gave that opportunity.
Exactly.
Or maybe, prison or dead, one or the other. Certainly not worried about if he could stay on a baseball team. And he's right. It's crazy, the expectations we have, not even coming close to understanding the drastic lifestyle change.
It's like Jose Fernandez, man. It's like, it's like partying when you're in your early 20s, when you have money and everything's in front of you and you've got all this pressure to perform. You got this big contract and you're in front of a lot of people and you're just blowing off steam. People like to do shit. And obviously it's tragic what happened to Jose Fernandez, but if a dude's what did Puig even do? He was speeding. He was late to some shit. I'm sure he was out pictured with celebrities and shit. That's mild stuff. He didn't even do anything dangerous except speed, which shit, when I was 22 and I was in my car, I never got on the highway at less than 100 miles an hour. I never went less than 100 on the highway for maybe not 22, but when I was 19. If I got in the car and I was on the highway, I'm going 110. I'm seeing how fast that chick can go. And if there's someone in the car, I'm definitely showing off how fast I'm willing to drive. Period. And now these dudes are supposed to be professionals in front of people and we're judge them. Oh, dude, it's just amazing
Well, yeah, and you can imagine the horsepower that new car is too.
Oh, it's a whole different level. I was like driving a Honda Accord in 1990 and opening that shit up. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's just, to me, it's like really. But my point was that, like, so these guys get that shit out of their system a little bit, and then by the time they're like 27, sure, they're still attracted to that, but they realize, okay, this is really important. Like, I can make money, real money for my whole life. I can be a real star. I can be part of a winning team. And I think a lot of them, they become less punks. I was a punk when I was 20. I was an idiot, but by the time you're like, for me, by the time I was 42,
one day.
No, by the time I hit my 40s, I started to realize. No, but for them, by the time they hit like 25, 27, they get a little more mature and they sometimes get it together. So I really think Puig might be in that sweet spot of like, still has the athletic gifts, but knows what's going on. So I'm big on him this year.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to rake, and I'll be all over him as well. I just wrote for Yahoo. I wrote a Dodgers preview, and it's just sickening as a Giants fan. It's like, I'm like, oh, Corey Seager's 23-year-old shortstop with this. He was playing hurt last year and still had a top 20 WRC plus or something. And it's like, he can win an MVP someday. Cody Bellinger, 40 homers, and he didn't even come up for a month. Most homers ever by a rookie in the NL. I mean, Justin Turner, top 15 hitter over the last 4 years. It's crazy. They're just so loaded. It's a joke.
Right. Well, they lost Darvish at least. Maybe someone's going to sign Arrieta. Any chance the Giants sign him? That would like totally change everything. They sign like another quasi ace.
Yeah, I think they're trying to stay under that tax. They just went with Tony Watson, so maybe not. I think the Phillies are an interesting young team, but even like the Dodgers have guys like Austin Barnes, who's like would be a monster fantasy-wise if they gave him what?
Chris Taylor.
Yeah, Chris Taylor. Yeah, they even have like a really good prospect that's going to come up in a couple months in the year. This pitching prospect, like Burley or Bueller or something. Yeah. Anyway, they're loaded, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, I hate the Dodgers too. I'm with you. But yeah, I like the structure of this team. I like, Kershaw, ace reliever, so many bats, and then a whole bunch of lottery ticket pitchers.
You going to do a couple more of these, Liss?
I'm going to do one more Beat Chris Liss, I think, if Greg gives me one, because we have like a deal with them, and they give us like a bunch, and we give them out to like our main baseball guys. But then sometimes Greg just says, you can do another one, and then I'll do another one. And I'm doing the main event in New York on March 18th.
Right. Yeah, no, that'll be fun. Yeah, that's my daughter's birthday. That's the day after the League of Leagues. So you're going to fly in for that to New York?
To New York, yeah, exactly. I'll be like texting you like last year.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let me know the next one though, because I heard they sign up quick once word leaks that you're doing a draft.
Oh, you're going to get in? Get in.
That's what I heard. That they sign up fast.
Yeah, no, Nutless Monkeys are welcome too.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, you need one. There's a quota. Know. There's a quota of one.
Okay.
What else? It's your birthday a couple days from now. I know that because I was looking for some XM info that I don't know why. I was checking this Google Calendar. I was like, why is Dalton's birthday on my Google Calendar? I have no idea. You probably put that shit on there because you're such a nutless monkey. You wanted to let me know or something, or I don't know what it was. Cry for help. But happy birthday.
I don't even know how to do that, but it was not me. But
somebody put that on there. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, getting old and yes.
36?
36, yes.
Damn. I remember when you were like a child when you started working for RotoWire.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy. You're
crazy. I was just looking at, speaking of old times, I was looking at the RotoWire blog, and I believe I'm behind you at the most blog posts on still. I love that.
Well, because I had Herb integrate the old Rotosynthesis in with the new blog. Right. So, which is good because it's just like a huge archive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I noticed that and I loved it. That was cool.
Yeah, you can look at all your bad takes if you want.
Yeah, that's right. So you got anything else? Anything new? It's been a couple weeks. You on vacation? No crazy stories. You're alive. You're not imprisoned. I guess that's a
vacation was chill. It was like family. Heather's mom was here, said something. I got drunk a bunch, but it wasn't like crazy at all. Yeah, nothing much. I could go into the whole politics thing, but we'll skip for a week. We'll skip. It's not even worth it. Not even worth it.
That sounds good. All right, cool. All right, yeah, we'll talk politics next week and get ready for League of Leagues and yeah.
And we can talk Yahoo Friends and Family. We'll be coming.
That's right, that too. Cool. All right, man.
All right, man. Take it easy. Happy birthday.
Later, Liss.
All right.
Thanks.
Later.
Thanks, sir. Later.